Hello everyone, Chef Aliye here from A Good Carrot, and tonight I'm going to be doing the first in my series of Tuesday night dinner demos where I'm going to be making a couple of different dishes that are really similar to the kind of stuff or the same kind of stuff that I eat here at home that I prepare for me and my family, and hopefully it will inspire you to get to work in the kitchen. These dishes are super duper simple, nothing complicated about them. I just figured it would be fun if we all did it together. So first up we have a crispy turmeric chicken with sumac and lime. This is seriously my favorite chicken recipe right now. We eat chicken probably at least once a week, and the flavors in this recipe are just incredible. I absolutely love them. So I'm starting here, and excuse me if I'm kind of down. Facebook is sort of discriminatory against tall people. If I stand up straight, my head gets cut off. So here I am. I'm going to lean a little bit here so y'all can see me and still see my cutting board as well. So here I have my chicken thighs. I'm using bone-in chicken thighs that have skin on them because I'm going to make that skin nice and crispy. You can use boneless or bone-in. I tend to get my chicken directly from the farmer, and most of the time when it comes straight from the farmer, it comes with bone in. So that's what I'm using tonight. I got these from Buy Ranch Direct here in Southern California. I love them. They're a great farm to support. So in order to do the crispy chicken, we're going to marinate a little bit first, and it's super simple. We're just going to take some cloves of garlic. I think the recipe says 2. Oh, and if you want to follow along with these recipes, they're on my blog at agoodcarrot.com. And if you scroll down to the bottom, you will see the recipe maybe 3 or 4 over. I posted it maybe last week or so, so it's not the newest one, but it's one of the most recent ones. So you'll see it there. And the other recipe we're going to do is a crispy romaine salad with parsley and mint, and that should be right next to the chicken recipe on my blog, agoodcarrot.com. So to start this crispy chicken recipe, we're going to take some garlic. You'll see I just peeled it there, and I have a couple of limes. We're going to take the zest from those limes, and first I'm going to use my microplane. Can you see that there? This is one of my all-time favorite kitchen tools. I use it for so much stuff, and they're so inexpensive and really easy to keep around. There's a few different versions of them, but this is the one I have and really one of my favorites. It's nice and skinny, easy to store. So I have a small bowl. I'm just going to go ahead and grate the garlic into the bowl. I like the grating for the garlic because it creates a really small garlic, really more like a paste, somewhere in between a paste and a mince. Super duper simple. And then I just bang it into the bowl to get it there. And I'm doing 2 cloves of garlic here. I have a little over a pound of chicken. The recipe, if you're looking at it, calls for 2 pounds, so I'm going to be taking it back a little bit with the amount that you'll see in the recipes. But this I'm leaving the same. This is 2 cloves of garlic, and then the zest of 2 limes. That's mainly what I started using this microplane for, and then I realized how good microplanes are for so many different things. So just go ahead and zest those limes, and you want to make sure not to get the white part. So you see how in the lime there's the dark green part. That's the stuff I'm getting off. You don't want to go further into the white part because that's where it starts to get kind of bitter. It's called the pith. So really what you're going for is just the peel. And there's tons of essential oils. Hi, my head's getting cut off. Hi, there's tons of essential oils there in the peel. So you want to be sure to get those out there. So I'm just rotating it. I got some on my cutting board there. I'm rotating it as I go, and I'm doing it all into this small bowl because I'm creating a little bit of a marinade here. So I have the grated garlic in there. I'm hoping y'all can hear me. So there's 1 lime, and then I'll do the second lime. And these limes, once the zest has been removed, I'm just going to save it to serve it on a platter, and you'll see that. So to zest limes, it smells really good. Like I said, that's where all the essential oil lives. Most of the essential oils live in a lime, so the aroma is just fantastic. And I prefer this over using the lime juice for the marinade. 1, because I think it's a stronger flavor, and 2, because I feel like the acid tends to kind of make the chicken or whatever protein you're using a little bit tough. Chicken thighs aren't as big of a deal because they're pretty hearty. but I feel like the lime zest gets into the flavor of the chicken better. And we're using the whole lime. It's pretty cool. We'll use the peel for the marinade, and then we'll cut it into wedges and then serve it next to it on the plate so people can add more lime juice if they want. So this recipe is super savory and tart and salty and garlicky, just what you want in your chicken recipe, right? So in here I have 2 cloves of garlic and the zest of 2 limes. And then I'm going to add a teaspoon of turmeric, the bright yellow stuff. Comes from a root. Used a lot in Indian cooking. Has a lot of really beneficial health properties, anti-inflammatory properties. And from what I understand, those anti-inflammatory properties are activated by black pepper. There's something, by the way, black pepper and turmeric interact with each other, that you really want to be sure to put black pepper in any turmeric recipe that you're making. So that's that. Tons of black pepper. That's what I'm doing right now. I'm just going with the freshly grated black pepper. So there we go. About a teaspoon of each of those. And then I have my salt here. I'm using a fine sea salt. I don't know if you can see. There's still some minerals in there. And it's a really fine grain. So if you're using a kosher salt, you want to back off on the amount of salt that I include in my recipes. I always use this fine sea salt, and it's really dense. It's really concentrated in flavor. So if you add too much, if you're using kosher salt, you want to add a little bit more. Yeah? All right. So for the salt, I tend to use about a teaspoon per pound of bone-in meat, right? So I have about a little over a pound of bone-in chicken thigh here, so I'm going to use a little over a teaspoon. And these are 1/4 teaspoons I'm putting in here. So that's that. Don't be afraid of salt. You don't want things to taste salty, but you do want things to have flavor, and salt helps enhance the flavor of what you're making. So here we have my mixture here. You'll see turmeric, let me bend down, turmeric, lime zest, black pepper, salt. And to that we're going to just add a couple of tablespoons of olive oil. Have my olive oil here. Just whatever everyday extra virgin that you use. And we'll go 1 tablespoon, 2 tablespoons. I count it. I don't measure it. It's easier that way. Get less things dirty. And then I'm making kind of a spice rub or a paste. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? I forgot to preheat the oven. So I'm going to do that right now. It goes to 400 for the chicken. So that'll take about 10 minutes for that to get nice and hot. So that's that. And then we have, with the olive oil there I've added, you see it's a nice paste. And I'm going to take that paste, let me double check my recipe. Hi. Let me double check my recipe and make sure I've added everything. I have my computer over here. Garlic, turmeric, salt, yep. I have everything. The sumac goes in later. The sumac here is more of a garnish, and I will talk about the sumac later. It's kind of cool. So there's that there. Comment, sorry about that. So here's the paste here, and I'm just going to go ahead and dump it on my chicken thighs. So these are my chicken thighs, and I'm just going to dump it on there. I'm going to rub the chicken thighs with my hands to get that paste all in there, and then I'll wash my hands, obviously, because they will have raw chicken on them. So here we go. Raw chicken is not the most appealing thing you'll ever see, so I will spare you the raw chicken rubbing. But this is what we have now. We have the raw chicken, and it has the nice rub on it there. You see the yellow of the turmeric. Yeah? Let me wash my hands. I have raw chicken on my hands. So I really like, hi Selva, Gina, how are you? Hi Deanna, thanks for coming, thank you. So I just put the chicken aside over here. what I really love about this chicken recipe is that it fits really, this whole menu fits really well. You let that chicken sit for just a little bit of time until you, while you prepare the salad ingredients, and then you get the chicken cooking and you're good to go, right? So we're just gonna set that chicken aside for a minute while the oven is heating up, and then I'll throw it in a little bit. I'll show you that in a second. So that's the chicken. Let's talk a little bit about the salad. So I'm doing a really simple, hi Rebecca, how are you? I'll do a little bit, I'm gonna do a crisp romaine salad here. And I have my romaine, which I got at maybe I got it at the farmer's market, I don't remember anymore, this weekend. And I wanted to talk a little bit about the produce storage. So you'll see here that I have my lettuce wrapped in a tea towel. It's basically a giant tea towel here. Hi Matt, how's Iowa? In a giant tea towel. And this tea towel is damp. And I've been storing this tea towel in my refrigerator in the produce drawer. Right, and so it's good to see you, Matt. Thanks for stopping by. That's awesome. This tea towel in the produce drawer, damp. You see I wrapped my lettuce up in here. So this is my plastic-free storage for produce. I do this with most of my produce. I bring it home from the market, usually the farmer's market. I usually get there about weekly. And I will wrap all my produce up, and almost anything, herbs, carrots, lettuce, greens. What else do I have in there? Peppers, cucumbers. All that stuff I will wrap up in a damp tea towel, and by tea towel I mean these ones that like aren't fuzzy. They're also called flour sack towels, and that's what this one is. It's super cute. It has the asparagus all over it. It's from the High Fiber Co. She's on Etsy. She's awesome. But I wrap all my produce in the damp tea towels, and it keeps so much better than plastic. Plastic is like the absolute death of produce, honestly. Total death of produce. So that's a little storage tip there. Did I go on long enough about that? And then I washed it, I rinsed some of it, and then I just broke it up into little pieces here, right? It is cute, isn't it? I love that towel. It's amazing. And then I just put it in my salad spinner, and to get the water off, this will be loud, maybe. Can you guys hear me okay? So why is it important to get the water off of the salad spinner? Why do you think? So that the dressing sticks to it, right? If you put the dressing on the greens, the salad, while it's wet. Thank you, Rebecca. Yay, thank you. I've got a crazy mic set up here and I'm really glad it's working. Thank you. So I got my spun salad here and I want to get the liquid off of it, the water off of it, so that the dressing sticks to it. Matt, you can't crack me up. Matt, my brother-in-law, said, quiet, the baby is sleeping. Great, right? Okay, sorry. Distracted. So, dressing will not stick to wet lettuce, so make the lettuce dry. That's what I just did with the salad spinner. People often ask me, do I have to have a salad spinner? And I would say it's one of the basic tools to use in the kitchen, but I also have a hack for salad spinning. Let me see if I can explain this to you. It involves plastic, a plastic bag. So you take a plastic bag, you know, the kind with handles that we're outlawing, but I know you probably have some around. And you put a towel in the bottom of the plastic bag, like a towel like this. I learned this from Amy Pennington, by the way, if you're out there, Amy. She taught me this. You put that towel in the bottom of the plastic bag. You put your lettuce on top of the plastic bag, in the plastic bag on top of the towel, and then you swirl and you do this. And it's like a centrifuge, right? I know this people will think you're absolutely crazy, right? But that's what I do. If I'm ever in a situation where I'm making a salad, say I've ended up at a friend's house and I'm making a salad and I want to wash the greens and I don't have a salad spinner, I'll be like, do you have a plastic bag? Yeah, of course I have a plastic bag. Do you have a paper towel or a towel to stick in the bottom? Yeah. And you just make your own salad spinner by swirling a plastic bag around. You look crazy, but it gets your lettuce dry. And all the water goes to the bottom of that towel. It's pretty cool. So anyways, that's spinning. All that water's in the bottom. You can use any kind of greens you want for this. I like romaine because it's really crispy, and my daughter really likes crispy lettuce. So I tend to go towards the crisp romaine. So there's the romaine. And the thing that I like about this salad is the herbs in it. They're like the #1 thing about this salad. So here I have some mint, some Italian parsley, both from my garden. And then I have the cucumber here. This is a thin-skinned cucumber, probably like a Japanese cucumber, right? I'm ignoring you, Matt, just FYI. And you want to just slice the cucumber. You can put anything in this recipe that you wanted to, really. The parsley and the mint make it really just add a nice flavor that you're not usually used to having in a salad. And then I add the typical stuff as well. I have the cucumber like I showed you, and then I have this partial tomato that was hanging out in the fridge as well. If you have other veggies kicking around, feel free to add them too. This is just like a super base, and I'll show you that in a second. That was my oven. So I'm going to show you, we're going to leave the salad for a second, and I'm going to skip to crisping up the chicken skin. Okay, so to do that, I'm going to turn on my cast iron. So I use cast iron a lot in the kitchen. They're really great. Hi, Lucy. They're really great for non-stick. Yeah, so they're basically can be seasoned to be non-stick, and if you keep that nice thin layer of oil on them, they're totally non-stick. There's just a couple things you need to do when you're cooking with them and to take care of them, right? So my cast iron, I'm turning it on now, and I'm going to let it heat it up probably about 3 to 5 minutes, and that's a really important step in the non-stick process. If I didn't heat it up, the chicken would stick. So basically when you heat up a pan before putting anything in it, and this is only for iron and steel pans. I'm not talking about pans necessarily with a non-stick coating on them. I don't really use them. I don't know much about them, so I'm not an expert on them. But a cast iron pan or like a stainless steel all-clad pan, you need to be sure to preheat it. You'll see my blue flame under there. You need to be sure to preheat it before you add your oil. There's no oil in that pan. It is just a fully dry pan. There's nothing in there. And what you're doing is you're creating a thin layer of steam. Basically, a little bit of moisture is going to come up from the bottom of that pan. Then once you add the oil to the top, that oil is going to sit upon that invisible layer of steam in the pan, and your item, whatever you're putting in there, isn't going to stick to the pan. So when people say, oh, I swear by my nonstick pans, that's great. I don't love the coatings on the nonstick pans. I know there's ones these days that are supposed to be better. I've just never gone down that road. Cast iron is incredibly cheap, inexpensive. I mean, my 8-inch pan was what, maybe $20, and I've had it for 15, 20 years. They last forever, as well as my steel pans too. So these are my steel pans, right? And they'll just last forever. Hi, Amanda. Thanks for stopping by. They'll just last forever, right? So same thing. This is a steel pan, cast iron. Treat them both the same. You want to heat up that pan. And the way that you know that it's hot enough, you're either going to see, hold on a second, some little white wisps of smoke. That's how you know it's ready. That's one way to know. The other way, and this is what I do a lot, I take some water from the faucet here, and I just throw it on my pan. And if it dances and the water just disappears, it's ready, which it totally did. My tongs are behind the camera. Hi, Veronica. So I'm going to take my chicken, and this has a nice skin on it. I'm going to take it and just put it skin side down in that pan. You guys hear that sound? That's the sound you want to hear. Does the mic pick up the sizzle? That's what I want to know. So that turmeric and lime chicken has the marinade on it. Has a little bit of garlic, lime, turmeric, salt, and pepper. And that just goes straight in the pan. And by lime, I mean lime zest. And you can find the recipe on my blog, agoodcarrot.com. If you scroll down to the bottom, it's right there. It's sizzling. This is good. So you want to leave that for about 5 to 7 minutes. And the way that you know it's done is that it's going to lift out of the pan. If I tried to lift it right now out of the pan, it would stick. The meat's going to let you know when it's ready to turn. Okay, so I'm just going to let that go. 5 to 7 minutes. Somebody going to keep track of it for me? I have no sous chef, Selva. They left. She took off. She was going to stay and then Dad gave her a better deal, so she left. Next time, I'll tell her you said hi. I'm talking about my daughter, Elizabeth. Okay, so here's your salad. We're just going to put whatever ingredients we have. I have a thin-skinned cucumber here. And I'll just slice it into rings. You can do it however you like. Ooh, let me show you something, though. One way I like to peel cucumbers sometimes, honestly, just for fun, to do something a little bit different, is called a stripey peel. Right? So you just take it and peel it into stripes. That's kind of fun, right? Just makes it a little bit more exciting. So this is just going into slices. If you want to do chunks, that's super great. Any of it, totally fine. So getting that cucumber ready. Like I was saying earlier, you could put anything you want into this. Carrot would be delicious. And here I have, like I was saying, some spearmint and some parsley. I'll tell her you said so, Selva. She might come home in the middle of this. I'm not sure. She might come in and help me out. So Italian parsley. I love Italian parsley. It's fresh tasting. From a medicinal standpoint, it's super cleansing. And I just love the flavor of it. So I have some here. Oh, there we go. And I literally just roughly chop it and throw it in the salad. And if there's any stems, I might toss them out. I like them personally. It depends on who I'm feeding. If I think the person I'm feeding will not be into the stems, I get rid of them. But I like them personally. So just throw them in the salad. And then I have my herbs. Andy went out to eat, Matt. He went to a meetup somewhere. He's at the bar. But he'll eat when he gets home, probably. Anyways. So here's my mint. Here's my herb. And this is how, with the herb, that you clean it here. You just take the stem and go backwards. So instead of picking off each individual little leaf, you can just go backwards. And I'll just throw it in there. So I'm just creating a little pile of herbs over here. Again, I'll just take it. I don't bother to chop them. The cool thing about the salad, it's so simple that those vibrant flavors of the herb and the parsley are just really good. That's part of what makes the salad actually quite exciting, is that you're biting into mint. It's really refreshing. So just putting some of that. This is spearmint. It grows really easily in the garden here in California. And it's usually the type of mint that you find at the store too. It's spearmint. So just put a pile of the herbs in there. I'll mix it all up at the end. We got a nice bowl of greens going here. And then I'm going to check on the chicken really quick. So I'm turning it over. It's just going to turn. It just comes right up. I've already tested it. Let me see if I can get it so you can see it. There's like zero sticking. I don't know if you can see the browning. Just turn it right over. And it's all nice and crispy brown. Let me talk about chicken skin for a minute. If you have chicken skin on your chicken and you're planning to serve it with it on it, you really want to be sure to crisp it up. Like floppy chicken skin that's not crisp is a little bit gross. It's floppy, it's chewy, it's rubbery. It's just not a good scene. So whenever I have skin on my chicken, I always crisp it up. And this is the way to do it. You can do this in any way. With almost any recipe, with any spices, you basically just get your pan hot like I was talking about. Put the skin side down. And then I just flipped it back over, and I'm about to shove it in the oven. The oven's at 400. I'll put it in there for maybe 25 minutes, I think. It'll be done. Yeah? What does Matt say? When are you coming to Iowa to cook for us? Buy me a plane ticket and I'll come, Matt. I want to see your new house. When your new house is done, then we'll come. So I have my crispy skin chicken. You see how that's nice and crispy? On top, you can see it browned. It smells amazing. Hi, Nile. How are you? Thank you for coming by. I'm just going to shove it in the oven. Pot holder for those cast iron pans, right? Let me just check my recipe. Flip chicken over, slide it into the oven. 20 minutes, my recipe says. All right, this is why I write recipes, because I don't remember how to cook things. 20 minutes. Hopefully y'all will stick around that long. I hope you're thinking up your questions. What are your questions that you have for me? Stick around a little bit so I can talk a little bit here. Because we have 20 minutes of chicken to get through. Chicken cooking. Right, so ask me your questions. So here's your salad. I'm going to flip over to the salad recipe. Has anybody got the recipes up? Maybe you can tell me what I'm supposed to do here. Ooh, the onion. That's right. I wanted to talk about the onion. So I'm actually here, instead of a red onion, I'm using a shallot, which is a really nice, mild red onion. It's in the onion family, but it tends to have a sweeter and more mild taste. So instead of a raw onion in the salad, I will often use a shallot. If you don't have a shallot on hand, one way to make an onion milder is to soak it. So you can soak it in cold water for however long you want. The more you soak it, the more mild an onion will become. And you basically chop or slice it up and then soak it in cold water. And your onion will become a little bit more mild if that's what you're going for. So here we have the shallot. I'm peeling it. Mostly got the peel off. And then I'm going to use a, thank you, Nile. And then I'm going to use a mandolin. Here, this is another one of my favorite kitchen tools. Both of these things, like the most inexpensive things you can find. This is, I don't know, under $15, this microplane. And then it's not officially a mandolin, it's called a benriner. It's an old school Japanese tool. This is an old one. The new ones are actually white. They're a little bit different. But if you want to get these super thin slices and you're terrified of an actual mandolin, real mandolins are a lot bigger. This thing will cut the heck out of you too, don't get me wrong. You do have to be careful. But I find this thing, it stores a lot easier. It's flat. Mandolins tend to have a stand on them, so they're not as easy to store. So this is one of my favorites. And I just hang it on that rack behind me. Can you see that rack? Rack. Anyways, so I like this for the thin slices of onion. Again, I don't love biting into raw onion when I'm eating things. So just that little bit of raw onion, I slice it super, super thin so that when I do come upon it in my salad, it's pleasant and it's not like the only thing I taste for the rest of the meal. Does that make sense? So, I think it's already on a pretty thin setting. I can actually go a little thinner. Can you guys see this? And I won't even use all of it. I mean, this is all I'm going to use. Just a small little handful here. Just some thinly sliced shallot. Add that to my salad. Oh, there's a brown mint leaf. I'm going to get that out of there. So thinly slice the onion. I mean, add as much or as little as you want. If you really love onion, go for it. If not, that's okay too. This shallot's actually making my nose and eyes run. It's a strong shallot. The amount of lettuce I used was about a half of a large romaine head of lettuce. And this salad will easily feed 4 to 5 people here. And I'm not going to actually save my tomato, my half tomato here, and I have a little bit of cucumber for the top of my salad so it'll look nice and pretty. I like to do it like the recipe on my blog. If you see the photo, I have the mint and the, I'm seriously crying because of that shallot. I should have soaked it in water. The other way to make an onion milder too, this is a really good tip, is to soak it in an acid, so like vinegar or lemon juice. So if I were to take, I already threw it in the salad unfortunately, but take this shallot and soak it in like a lemon juice or like white wine vinegar, whatever kind of vinegar that you have on hand, for any amount of time will make it more mild, but ideally is 20 minutes or so. It's called macerate and it means to sweeten something, right? So I won't do that now, but in the future, if you're using raw onions, try soaking them either in water or in a vinegar. And then you can drain them out of the vinegar, like pull them out of the vinegar, put them in your salad, and then use as much of the vinegar as you want, right? This, Amanda, macerating, is that a good thing, right? So my shallots are making me cry, but that's okay. Let's move on to the rest of the recipe here. This is such a lazy recipe. I don't even make, thank you, Amanda. It's so good to see you. Thanks again for coming. I went to culinary school with Amanda. I haven't seen her for at least 15 years. Awesome, Deanna. Good. I'm glad. The salad, I don't even bother making a separate vinaigrette. I can do that on another cooking night. I just literally, I have my bowl and I'm going to just grate things into it and over it. Because this is typical weeknight. Like, my daughter Elizabeth, she does like to make vinaigrettes, so often she will make the vinaigrettes. She likes mixing things together in the kitchen. I mean, who doesn't? That's the fun part. But today she's not here to make my vinaigrette for me. And actually in the recipe, this is written this way. You just kind of throw it all in the bowl, toss it together, and you have a salad. So you don't have to worry about making something else dirty or even taking out a whisk or anything. You just pour it all in. So for this, I actually need more garlic. Who's reading my recipe? Ooh, there's lemon too in this. So some more garlic. And I'm just going to grate the garlic right over the bowl. Hi, Brooke. How are you? Thanks for coming by. And just a clove of garlic. You can leave this out if you want, but rather than add a super strong garlicky flavor to everything, it's just going to add a real nice savoriness with everything that's already in this salad. And again, my trusty microplane. And I'm going to grate my onion, you see, directly over the salad. Right? And this will all get mixed around when I toss it. So I put the garlic is kind of all sitting in one place, but that's okay. Once I put the liquid on there, it'll all get in there and mix around. The next thing I do, I had a half a lemon. Here we go. My half a lemon. This is left over from some other recipe. I mean, that's really what cooking is. Like, you see a lot of recipes and it's like, do this and do that, and it seems like everything has to be so perfect, but honestly what I end up throwing together on a weeknight is kind of just what I have hanging around. Like, if I hadn't had a half a lemon and if I had been like out of lemons, I would have grabbed a bottle of vinegar out of my cupboard and not worried about it. Like, really no big deal. So if you don't have a lemon, use a lime. If you don't have a lime, use some vinegar. If you don't have some vinegar, what else can you use? Verjus? Anybody else? Verjus is the juice of unripened grapes. That's kind of fancy. Anyways, tangent, lemon juice, directly over salad. I'm using a half a lemon, and what I do is I just squeeze the lemon. Again, less tools. You can definitely use a squeezer. I have multiple squeezers, but I like to just juice it through my hand. And I do it through my hand. This lemon doesn't have any seeds in it, but if it did, my hand would just catch the seed. Right? My hand, beer is not an acid, Matt. I have a beer right here. I'm not putting it in my salad. Wine. Maybe. I wouldn't be so hot. Alright, so lemon. Half a lemon. I can use more of a lemon if I want. You could use 2 different types of acids if you want. I'm looking for my towel. You could use 2 different types of acids. So say you only had a random leftover lemon from something, you could use a little bit more, say some vinegar, if you wanted a little bit more, right? So there's that. And then we'll just do some olive oil. You can measure it if you want. My recipe has the actual measurements. I'm not much of a measurer, but just a little bit on top there. Is there anything else I'm forgetting? Lemon, garlic, mint. We'll put that other stuff. Za'atar, right. The sumac is in the za'atar. Let me talk about za'atar spice for a second. So za'atar spice, and that, oh yeah, it's on the recipe there. It's a spice blend, basically. It's a spice blend. And there's kind of some standard ingredients in it, but then different people, different families in the Middle East and the Mediterranean all have different recipes. This is the recipe I personally like the best. It has in it dried oregano, and it's a type of oregano. It's a little bit different than an Italian or a Greek oregano. It's actually a Turkish oregano. But if all you have is an Italian or a Greek, use that, totally fine. Dried oregano, can you see? A little bit dried. And then sumac. I have some sumac here separately. Sumac is from the dried berry of a wild bush that grows in the Mediterranean and the Middle East. Basically a deep red, super tart berry. Super yummy. We don't use it here enough. It smells super tart. It's really good. The other thing in the sumac, in the za'atar seasoning, sesame seeds. And I love the sesame seeds in there. It adds a really nice nuttiness to everything. And then the fourth ingredient I put in my za'atar is salt. And in this particular instance, I have kind of a coarser ground sea salt, which I like. I especially like it on the salad. Do you guys ever salt your salad? I know it sounds crazy. But one thing I learned in restaurants was that salting your lettuces, salting your raw salads with just the tiniest amount of salad makes it taste so much better. And I'm talking like the tiniest pinch of salt. So next time you make a salad, even if you're putting a dressing on it that has some salt in it, try just salting the lettuce after you add your dressing with just the teeniest bit of salt. It makes such a difference. Yes, yes, Brooke, my pickle sister. That sounded weird, right? Brooke loves pickles, so do I. I know she loves salt, right? So you gotta have that salt, and it just makes your salad that much more exciting. So I put the olive oil in there, I put the lemon juice, I'm gonna put some of the za'atar seasoning in there. The sesame, oregano, sumac, and salt. Some people add cumin. What are other things that some people add? I'm not sure. But this just adds another just exciting element to this salad. I'll sprinkle it on the top and I'll toss it, and then I'll put more on the top too. I got 8 minutes left on my chicken. Yeah, salt. Totally salt. Yeah, I'll put it up here. Can you see this? Yes, that's a little bit better. So just tossing that in, getting the garlic tossed in there so that one person doesn't get the whole thing of shaved garlic in their mouth. Not super pleasant. Breaking up any big pieces of lettuce you find. And tasting it. That's the #1 rule, right? Is tasting it. Oh, one more thing about the sumac. People ask me where to get it. It's easily gettable online from like Savory Spice Co. They're based in Denver, but they have shops all over. Savory Spice Co. Penzies is another really good one, right? So those are good places for sumac to get it. Oh, actually, I just picked it up at my grocery store. For those of you in Long Beach, I got it at Lazy Acres in those little boxes. Hang on. Oh, I don't know where my box went, but those little cardboard boxes, you know, that refill your spice containers. I got sumac yesterday. I was out of it from an event I did last weekend, and I just went to Lazy Acres and picked up a little box of sumac. So it's getting more and more available these days. It's not really all that hard to find. Nuts on salad are good. It's kind of like the sesame seeds. It adds that nutty flavor to it. So this is looking good. I don't know if you can see this on a camera, but what I'm looking for here on whether or not a salad is dressed is that it's like a little bit shiny, right? So it has some dressing on it, but not a ton. If I scoot aside the lettuce at the bottom, like there's not a puddle of dressing sitting at the bottom. There's nothing sitting at the bottom. The lettuce is just damp with olive oil. and the lemon juice that I put on it. And then I'll taste it to see if I might want to add more salt or spice or lemon. That's yummy. I think I will add just the tiniest bit more acid, right? I have a little bit of sherry vinegar because that's the first thing that I grab. It can be anything. Sherry vinegar is pretty strong, so I'm just going to add a tiny bit. And I'm going to put a little more of the za'atar too. I don't really taste it very much. I really like that dried oregano flavor. So between that sumac and that extra vinegar, this should be nice and tart. I really like my salads nice and tart. Does anybody make their own vinaigrettes at home? Anybody? Vinaigrettes? Typically the ratio for vinaigrettes is 3 parts oil to 1 part vinegar. I kind of like it 2 parts oil to 1 part vinegar because I really like that tartness. So there we go. There's the salad. Lemon juice, garlic, za'atar, and then I'm going to put this stuff on the top just so it looks nice. The cucumber. And let me chop up the tomato here too. My head's totally cut off. Okay. So I cut out that middle there from the tomato. Can you see it? You could put grape or cherry tomatoes in here too. Definitely. And then I'm just going to dice it. My knife is nice and sharp. Extremely sharp. So I'm cutting through tomatoes really well. If you don't have a nice sharp knife, you know what I like to use? I have a tomato knife here. This is an awesome knife. It's a small serrated knife. And it's really good for cutting tomatoes. It's always sharp. We use it for a lot of stuff around here. So that's another option if your regular cooking knife, your chef knife, or whatever you're using isn't sharp. Ask questions if you have any questions about knives. I always talk about knives in my cooking classes here. This is my, I think it's an 8-inch chef knife. This is my standard, my workhorse in the kitchen, my Wüsthof Trident, I think. Yeah, it's a Wüsthof. A German knife. It's really solid. It holds an edge really well. I'll give you my sharpening spiel in a second. I have time because that chicken is cooking. Alright, so who knows what this is? Anybody? Anybody watching? Still paying attention? Anybody still paying attention? I'm going to give you 3 seconds to type in what this is. Anybody? 3, 2, 1. Somebody's coming in. Oh, maybe not. Alright, fine. You guys aren't giving me any love. This is a sharpening steel. But it doesn't actually sharpen your knife, right? What this does, it's a knife improver. Christy, if you're watching, that's for you. It's a knife improver. A steel. It's not a sharpener. So the difference between sharpening and steeling a knife, or running a knife on a honing steel, it's a honer. But I like to call it a knife improver, because a knife improver is a better word than honer. Honer's a really weird word to me. Right? So how you use this, you put a towel or something, can you see? Down on your cutting board. And you just run your knife along it. Most chef's knives are sharpened at a 25-degree angle. And you run it from base to tip. It's hard to tell on camera exactly. So sharpening a knife is actually taking metal off the edge of your knife. Hi, Peter. Yes, steel honer. You're right. You better tell Mike, Brooke, that that's what this is. Okay, so sharpening actually takes metal off the edge of your knife. In essence, changing the shape of your knife. So that's not something that you want to do all the time. Most home cooks only need to sharpen their knife, actually sharpen their knife 1 to 2 times a year, depending on how much they're cooking. Let me show you how I sharpen my knife. This is my sharpener. It's a little steel block. It's like super basic. I can go over this in another class. I'm not going to go over it now. One side's a little rougher. One side's a little smoother. I'll talk to you later about actual sharpening. But most of the time, you don't need to do that. I don't do that very often. Maybe 4 times a year. Yes, you've been improving your knife. That's right. Improving your knife. So what the honer does, so if you can imagine the microscopic edge of a knife, like the edge here, if you look at it under a microscope, it has these little microscopic teeth. And when your knife isn't sharpening well, all the teeth are like crisscrossed like this, right? When you use the honer, the knife improver, all the teeth straighten out like this. It makes your knife cut better. When you actually sharpen it, you take the metal off. And if you do that too much, that's going to completely change the shape of your knife, which you don't want to do. I have some, I don't have it here, but I have some of my old knives. Hi, Cassandra. I have some of old knives. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he uses it for his chisels. That's any kind of sharpening. Garden tools are sharpened the same way. It's the same principle. And there's a million different kinds of sharpeners. You can read up on how to do that, or I'll show you next time, or you can take it to a sharpener. Like hardware stores have sharpeners. Here in Southern California, the farmers market have a guy that comes and does sharpening. So the honing steel, back to that. Here's your honing steel. And this is a super, ooh, there's my chicken, it's ready. This is a super easy way to start with it. You just put it in front of you at a comfortable place, making sure it's on a towel so it's not sliding around. And you run it from base to tip at 25-degree angle. Different knives are sharpened at different angles. I was saying chef knives are sharpened at 25-degree angles. I don't have my other knife. I have another chef knife. It's a Japanese knife. Most Japanese knives are sharpened at a 10-degree angle. It's what makes them a little bit more precise when you're cutting, but it also makes them go dull a little bit faster, right? It says dental instruments. Oh, I didn't know that. That's cool, Lucy. My sister-in-law, she's a hygienist, and she's telling me that that's how you sharpen dental tools too. Maybe I don't want to think about that though. Anyways, my chicken just beeped. I'm going to get that out. So here it is, nice and sizzly. You can see that the skin is kind of pulled back from the bone. I don't know if you can really see that. I can tell it's done. If you're not sure if it's done, use a thermometer. 100% use a thermometer. Hang on. I have one somewhere. Here it is. This is my fancy new digital thermometer, instant read thermometer I just got. You want your chicken thighs to be about 165 to 185. We're good. They're at 185. That was like 20 minutes. So what I'm trying to do here is show you that dinner is really easy to cook at home. I'm yakking on and on about it. This will probably take about half the time if you weren't yakking like I'm yakking about it. But I hope you guys are learning something. And I'm really glad you're here. So that chicken's ready. The last step is just going to be to sprinkle the sumac on it. I have my salad. I'm just going to put a little bit more of the za'atar on the top because it's pretty. And then let's get a serving dish for that chicken. I got a nice serving dish. And I don't want to use the same tongs I used for the raw chicken. Right? I have my raw chicken tongs over there. I don't want to use those. Because you don't want to put raw chicken with cooked chicken and make you sick. It can make you sick. So here's my nice chicken thighs. And then my sumac, which I was talking about earlier, it's like a deep red berry. It's ground up. Just a little bit of extra kick. And for looks too, I'm just going to sprinkle some on the top. Yeah. And then these limes I used earlier. I put them on the plate so then people can add more if they really like that tart flavor. It's a really nice visual. It looks really pretty with the limes around the chicken. The other reason I like to put the limes on there, see that? You see it? Because it lets people know what's in the chicken. Like, I can't stand it when there's something on the plate when you go to a restaurant that has nothing to do with the food that's being eaten. Like I don't know, you have a really nice piece of something, and there's something on top of that has nothing to do with it just because it's pretty. I think the thing that's on top of the item that you're serving should show what's in it. So it's like, oh yeah, there's the lime. There's lime in there too. We sprinkled some sumac on the top for a little bit of extra kick. That's ready to go. That's ready to go. That's dinner. I'm going to eat. Do you guys have any more questions before I go? Because I'm literally going to go eat dinner. This is my dinner. Questions? You got me for 2 more seconds. No, I'm kidding. But I think I talked about everything I want to talk about. Is there anything in particular that you guys want to do in the future? I haven't come up with future Tuesday menus, so if there's anything you guys want to see, let me know about that. I hope you learned something here. You might make the recipe, the crispy chicken, using the zest. Yeah? All right. I'm going to go. I'm going to go eat. Thanks for stopping by. And I will see you guys later. All right. Thanks. Bye.